Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are discussing the last few topics of the hepatology. Previously we have discussed the acute hepatitis, chronic hepatitis, hepatitis C, hepatitis A, and some of the diseases like Wilson disease, hemochromatosis. All these topics are covered. Now the comes with the bacterial infections of the which can cause the liver problem. Most important amongst that is the liver abscess. Liver abscess is caused by basically the two types. One is the infection, which is usually the gram-negative bacilli. Other is the infection and hepatitis, and sometimes abscess formation by the ant amoeba histolytica. So these are the one is the bacterial infection and other is the protozoal infection. Both these can cause very important disease which is known as the liver abscess or hepatic abscess. The bacterial abscess is called as pyogenic abscess, and amoebic is called amoebic liver abscess. First we will discuss the amoebic liver abscess. Basically this is the abscess which is caused by the ant amoeba histolytica, a protozoa. Okay, this is from where this comes. It comes from the intestine via the circulation from the portal venous system. From the portal venous system, from the intestine, large intestine primarily, it goes to the portal venous system. And the portal veins, we know that all of the blood from the intestine is drained by the mesenteric vessels, and mesenteric vessels ultimately drain into the portal venous system, and portal venous system basically goes to the liver. And in this way the amoeba is carried from the intestine to the liver tissue, and when it reaches here, it causes the portal inflammation, and this results in development of the multiple microabscesses, and these eventually form a single and sometimes large abscess formation occur. So this is the mechanism how the amoeba is carried from the bowel or intestine to the liver tissue. Okay, this disease is basically more common in the male, and sometimes the patient gives the history that he has the diarrhea and dysentery, and sometimes this history is missing. So when a patient comes to you, we usually take the history that whether you have the diarrhea in the previous weeks or not. Sometimes patient give history that he or she has the diarrhea in the previous week, and sometimes he does not give such history. But so the history is very important, whether history is patient give you the history or not. Other clinical presentations for which are very important is the fever, and basically this is the abscess. Whenever the abscess is in the body, it causes the high grade fever, spiking fever with rigors and chills. So this is the peculiarity of the abscess, that it causes high grade fever. Along with this is the abdominal pain, and pain especially in the right hypochondrium. Pain in the right hypochondrium, because the liver is primarily occupies the right hypochondrium. So when it's enlarged, it stretches the capsule of the liver, and the patient feels pain. Otherwise liver tissue itself is not sensitive, means it does not have the pain fiber. Only pain fibers are present on the capsule which encircle the liver tissue. So when this is stretched, patient feels pain. When we examine or touch, patient feels tenderness. Pain is basically initially dull and aching, and the patient give a history that he has the heaviness in the right hypochondrium. Later this pain becomes sharp and stabbing. Sometimes this pain is referred to the tip of the right and left shoulder. When the abscess is located high up in the right or left lobe of the liver, because this cause the stimulation at the diaphragm, and the diaphragmatic nerves and the shoulders have the almost the same nerve roots, and the patient feels referred pain at the tip of the shoulder, just like the cholecystitis patient feels pain at the shoulder. Here is almost same scenario, that patient feels pain on the shoulders. So it can cause a diagnostic confusion. Other is that pain basically increased by deep inspiration or coughing, and it is decreased when the patient tends to lean left side of the left side. So when the patient cough, the diaphragm descend down, and it causes the stretching on the liver tissue, and patient feels pain. So this is very important, that when you ask the patient to cough, and patient feels pain on the right side of the abdomen. Other are the features like the fever I have told you, the which is very high grade, and the fever is also associated with anorexia, malaise, and weight loss. Basically anorexia is the loss of appetite. If you examine the patient or look at the patient, patient has a toxic look and febrile, and the liver tissue is enlarged, and when you examine the right hypochondrium, a patient has the tender hepatomegaly. Sometimes patient has a localized edema of the chest wall or abdominal wall, and sometimes patients have little bit jaundice, but usually jaundice is not a feature of the amoebic liver abscess, which is usually absent in this case. So this is the presentation of the patient, and sometimes patient presents only with fever, and there are no other symptoms, because the abscesses are very small and they are not stretching the liver capsule. So patient comes to you with the fever. Here is the picture. Here is the abscess formation occurred here in the right lobe of the liver, and this is the another abscess. This is the hepatic abscess formation. Now we comes to the complication, why we are worried with the hepatic abscess. First is the basal pneumonia, because the extension to the lungs through the diaphragm causes the pneumonia at the lower lobe of the lungs, especially the right lower lobe. Patient develop the pneumonia, sometimes extension, and sometimes because of the inflammation spreads to involve the lower lobes of the right lungs, and as a result pneumonia occur at this area. Sometimes patient develop the sterile pleural effusion, especially on the right side. This phenomenon, pleural effusion, is also due to the inflammation. Sometimes the rupture occurs into the pleural space, and the patient develop the empyema, and we have to put the chest tube in the lungs to drain this pus from the lungs tissue. So this is a very important complication, that it makes its way to the lungs tissue and it drain into the pleural space. Patient develop the empyema. Sometimes patient develop the hepatobronchial fistula, means a passage occur from the liver to the bronchi, a fistula form. So abscess from the liver tissue goes via the fistula tract into the bronchi, and whenever patient coughs, it coughs up the sputum which contains the debris, means pus from the liver tissue. So this is also an important complication, that patient develop the hepatobronchial fistula, means a abnormal passage or pathway developed from the liver through the diaphragm to the lungs tissue. Okay. Sometimes the rupture occur into the peritoneum, and the patient develop the acute abdomen, and severe peritonitis occurred. This is also an important complication. Sometimes a patient develop the fistula and its rupture into the pericardium, and patient develop the pericarditis, and this is a very important complication, that pericarditis can sudden cardiac arrest or other cardiac complication, and this leads to the sudden death of the patient. So these are all very important complications of the hepatic abscess. Now we goes to the investigations. What investigations are required? General investigation, blood complete examination. You will find the neutrophilia, neutrophil count is increased. Other is the blood stool examination. We usually ask for the complete stool examination and stool for ova and cyst formation. So we send to the laboratory the stool for the amoebic cysts, or sometimes the amoeba itself is found in the stool examination. Other is the X-ray chest. This is important that we perform the X-ray chest. In this case, right side of the diaphragm is usually raised, and the patient has the sometimes the consolidation at the right basal area because of the pneumonia formation. The patient has the consolidation at the lower lobe of the right lower lobe of the lungs, and the patient may have the raised right hemi diaphragms. Sometimes ultrasound is very important investigation, and it is we can say that it's the investigation of the choice, by which the single liver abscess or multiple liver abscesses are found. And moreover, by the way of the ultrasound, we can also cause the drainage of the abscess. We perform the diagnostic aspiration, and it is sent for the test investigations. So the ultrasound is very important investigation. Other investigation which usually we perform is the CT scan or MRI of the abdomen, and especially in the where there is some diagnostic difficulty and the diagnosis of the malignancy and the abscess is not cleared with the ultrasound, then we go for the CT scan or MRI for the liver tissues. Other investigation is the serological test for the amoeba. These are the indirect heme agglutination test for the detection of the antibodies against the Entamoeba histolytica, and this test is usually in 95% of the cases this is the positive. These are the investigations which usually we perform in patients with the amoebic liver abscess. Now we go to the picture. This is the CT scan imaging. Here you are seeing the abscess formation, and this is the abscess which is drained. This is anchovy sauce. It's a brownish like abscess which is drained with the syringe, and you can see this is the anchovy sauce. This is the pus which is drained. Okay, this is usually drained with the help of the ultrasound. Here is the image where you can see the raised right hemi diaphragm. Okay, this is the arrow. This is showing that the right hemi diaphragm is the raised. Okay, this is the raised hemi diaphragm because of the amoebic hepatic abscess. This is again the CT scan imaging. There are the multiple abscesses formed in the liver parenchyma. Okay, these are the amoebic hepatic abscesses. This is again the picture which is showing the abscess, and this is the surrounding edema. This is the CT scan imaging. So these are the CT scan imaging of the hepatic abscess. Now comes with the last part, which is the treatment, and treatment of the choice is the metronidazole, which comes with the brand name of the Flagyl. We usually give high dose of the metronidazole, like 800 milligram TDS or 8 hourly for the 10 days. If the patient has the nausea and vomiting, then we can have the option of the injection Flagyl, which is available in the market, and we give it in 8 hourly. And in about 90% of the patient respond to this treatment of the metronidazole, and the pain and fever usually subside within 2 to 3 days. Other option is the diloxanide furoate. This is comes with the name of the Entamazole DS. This also given 3 times a day for the 10 days. This usually eliminates the intestinal infection also. Other treatment is the aspiration of the abscess. If the abscess is large in size or the fever is not responding, we usually perform the aspiration of the abscess, and this is also the procedure which is preferred procedure, especially for the large amoebic hepatic abscess. So you must know all these drugs and the drainage procedure. This is the for the amoebic hepatic abscess. Now comes with the pyogenic liver abscess. Pyogenic, as the name is, the pus formation. Patient with pyogenic liver abscesses are usually old persons and have the some predisposing factors, like they have the ascending cholangitis. This results from the biliary obstruction due to some stone or stricture or some neoplasm. So patient develop the infection in the bile passage, and this goes above and cause the infection in the liver and ultimately abscess formation. Other is the portal pyemia, from the intra-abdominal sepsis like the appendicitis and some appendix perforation. Pus goes to the liver and patient form as a result pyogenic liver abscess form. Other is the abdominal trauma. So these are all predisposing factors. As far as the clinical features or presentation is concerned, these are almost the same as the hepatic abscess, like patient has the high grade fever, spiking fever. Other is the pain and tenderness in the right hypochondrium because of the stretching of the capsule, and other is the rigors, chills. Patient have the nausea, vomiting, weight loss, and all these non-specific complications. Important is abscess, fever and tenderness or pain in the right hypochondria. The organisms which usually cause these infections are the E. coli, Streptococcus faecalis, Proteus vulgaris, anaerobes, Staphylococcus aureus, which is usually rare. But first, E. coli is more common predisposing or infection bacteria which can cause the pyogenic liver abscess. Clinical features I have already told to you. Now comes with the investigations. What investigation we should perform for the pyogenic liver abscess? These are almost the same. Complete blood examination where we meet leukocytosis. Other is the liver function test, LFTs. Serum bilirubin is sometimes raised in this condition, in pyogenic abscess, not in the amoebic abscess. And moreover, alkaline phosphatase is also raised in almost 90% of the cases, while ALT is also raised in some of the patients. Patients have the serum B12 level, which is very high in this condition. Moreover, the patient has the bacterial infection. We usually perform the blood culture. Sometimes we get the bacteria by the way of the blood culture. X-ray test is also performed, and we can see the raised right hemidiaphragm of the lungs. Next investigation is the ultrasound, which we can say this is the investigation of the choice, by which we can see the pyogenic abscess in the liver tissues, and sometimes drainage is also done with the help of the ultrasound. Other investigations are the CT scan and MRI, which are usually performed. So these are the investigations which we usually perform in the case of the pyogenic liver abscess. As far as the treatment is concerned, we usually give the third generation cephalosporin like the ceftriaxone or cefotaxime, and we usually give also the anaerobic coverage with the metronidazole. So we give the combination therapy of the two drugs. One is the third generation cephalosporin and other is the metronidazole. Other treatment options are antibiotics which can be used are the ampicillin, gentamicin and metronidazole. These are the options which are available in the market, and we usually give 2 drug therapy or 3 drug therapy. Other treatment option is the just like the amoebic abscess is the aspiration of the abscess, and this usually aspiration done with the help of the ultrasound. We usually perform ultrasound guided aspiration. This is all for the abscess hepatic abscess formation. Next topic which we are discussing are the hepatocellular carcinoma. Hepatocellular carcinoma, we have I have told you in my previous lectures, especially in the cirrhosis, that this is usually results from the more common cause of the hepatocellular carcinoma is the hepatitis C infection, hepatitis B infection, and sometimes alcoholic cirrhosis. This also leads to the hepatocellular carcinoma. Other cause of the hepatocellular carcinoma is the hemochromatosis. This also leads to the carcinoma. And primary biliary cirrhosis, Wilson disease, which I have already taught to you that in all these cases one complication is common. This is the hepatocellular carcinoma. So whether caused by the hepatitis C, B, alcoholic liver disease, hemochromatosis, Wilson disease, primary biliary cirrhosis, or injection of the toxin like the aflatoxin, androgenic or anabolic steroids, or oral contraceptive pills, these are all predisposing factor for the hepatocellular carcinoma. Basically this carcinoma is very important because hepatitis B and hepatitis C cases are very common in our country, and ultimately patients with cirrhosis develop this complication like hepatocellular carcinoma. This is other aspect of hepatocellular carcinoma is that this is very common in the male to female ratio is 4:1, and it usually occur in the 5th decade of the life. It means above 50 years patient has developed this, and usually it is single, sometimes multiple nodules occur throughout the liver. If it is single, then it is treatment options are available, but if it is multiple, then treatment options become very low. And most of the hepatocellular carcinoma are secondary to the viral infection, I have already told you. Sometimes metastatic disease also occur to the liver parenchymal tissue, and this cause diagnostic confusion whether it is primary carcinoma of liver or some metastatic disease. Risk factor I have discussed to you with. Now the clinical presentation, how the patients present to you with this important disease. Some symptoms are the non-specific, like the weight loss, weakness, okay, anorexia means loss of appetite. Sometimes patient presents with the fever. Sometimes patient presents with the aches or discomfort in the right hypochondrium, and sometimes patient presents with the ascites. Okay, these are all the complications which are related with the hepatic failure. Means abdominal pain, if the capsule is stretched, patient feels pain. Sometimes patient feels heaviness in the right hypochondrium, and when goes for the ultrasound we find that patient has the hepatocellular carcinoma. Other is the weight loss. These are in every malignancy patient develop weight loss, weakness. Patients sometimes develop the abdominal swelling when the tumor is enlarging. This causes the swelling in the right upper abdomen. Patient has the non-specific GI symptoms. Sometimes patient develop the jaundice, and these are all the symptoms which can be presented by the patient with the hepatocellular carcinoma. As far as the signs are concerned, hepatomegaly means if we palpate the liver, we find that firm or sometimes hard mass is filled in the right hypochondrium. This mass is due to the hepatocellular carcinoma. Other is the hepatic bruit. When we place a stethoscope on the liver area, because of increased circulation of the malignancy, we heard the bruit, which is known as the hepatic bruit. Other is complication is the ascites. Some patient develop the fluid in the abdomen, especially patient when have the cirrhosis. It is already working marginally, and cirrhotic patients may have the ascites. So this ascites may be primary to the tumor or some the cirrhosis. Other complication is the splenomegaly, patient have the enlarged spleen, patient have the jaundice, wasting of the muscles, because the patient have the cachexia, loss of appetite. So when he eats less and the tumor consumes its body's energy, patient ultimately develop wasting of the muscles and body. Other complication which is important is the fever. When the liver tissue cells are destroyed, pyrogens are released and they cause the fever in the body. So these are important complications. Complication, we can say these are the signs and symptoms of the hepatocellular carcinoma. Now we come with the very important thing is, what are the paraneoplastic syndromes of hepatocellular carcinoma? Means they produce the hormones from the malignant cells which affects the body, which are usually not produced in that tissue. Means like erythropoietin like activity. Basically erythropoietin like activity occur from the kidney tissues. Kidney produce erythropoietin like hormones, and which cause the increase in number of the red blood cells. But hepatocellular carcinoma sometimes produce hormone which has the erythropoietin like activity, and the patient has an increased number of the red blood cells and his hemoglobin may be normal. Other is the parathyroid like hormones. Like a parathyroid hormone, if it increase, patient will develop the hypercalcemia, and the patient has the hypercalcemia, he may develop the stone formation or some other complication of the hypercalcemia. Patient may develop hypoglycemia, and other is the hypercholesterolemia and dysfibrogenemia, means fibrogen levels are decreased. So these are the paraneoplastic syndromes which are associated with the hepatocellular carcinoma. As far as the metastasis is concerned, for the hepatocellular carcinoma, metastasis usually occur to the regional lymph nodes, sometimes to the lungs, sometimes to the bones. Tumor usually spreads to the inferior vena cava, sometimes to the portal veins, but usually it locally metastasizes, means it locally spread in the liver tissue. But metastasis is also occurred, means from the liver tissue cells goes to the other tissues of the body like the lungs, bones and lymph nodes. Okay, but this is an important thing you must know, that metastasis occurred in some cases of the hepatocellular carcinoma. Now we comes with the investigations. As far as the diagnostic investigations are confirmed, we perform the alpha fetoprotein, which is usually raised in cases of the hepatocellular carcinoma. It is usually more than 500 microgram per liter. You must not remember the figure, but you must know that in hepatocellular carcinoma, alpha fetoprotein levels are raised. Other investigation which are performed in the blood is the LFT. Patient has the raised serum alkaline phosphatase levels. Other investigations which are radiological, ultrasound of the abdomen, which is very important, and this can detect the tumor even more than 3 centimeters large in size. So if sometimes it is detected with the ultrasound, sometimes we are suspecting the tumor and it is not detected with the ultrasound, we perform the CT scan or MRI of the abdomen. Especially CT scan with contrast with the liver protocol, mean biphasic or triphasic CT scan is performed, by which we can detect the tumor. Other investigation which we usually perform is the angiography, by which we can also detect the tumor. Other is the liver biopsy, which is this is the diagnosis which is confirmatory test, we can say, but this is usually not performed because we can detect the tumor earlier with the help of CT scan and MRI. Okay, sometimes the diagnostic difficulty is there, then we perform the liver biopsy. Otherwise it is early diagnosed with the help of imaging technique like ultrasound and CT scan. This is the imaging. You can see there's a mass like appearance in the ultrasound. This is the right, basically this is the left lobe of the liver. Here you can see the large mass which is tumor, hepatocellular carcinoma. This is the CT scan imaging. You see the multiple metastatic lesions here. Okay, this is the metastatic lesions which are seen in the liver tissues. It may be locally metastasized from the liver primary tumors. So we can, with the help of CT scan, we can see the liver malignancy. As far as the treatment is concerned, this is a tumor which has very poor prognosis, and the surgery is required only reserved for the small size tumor and single, involving the one lobe in the absence of cirrhosis of the liver. So there is a limited limited space for the surgery. Okay, so if it is detected earlier and patient do not have the cirrhosis, this is a very good option, that it is curable treatment. We can say curable treatment. But usually patient comes to us with the cirrhosis and they have the multiple tumors, nodules in the right and left lobes, and the surgical option is not available for these patients. Other treatment option is the chemotherapy. Chemotherapy has not shown any good result, but hepatic artery embolization with chemotherapy is maybe palliative, means it can relieve somewhat. Means we give the embolization to these tumors, and this causes a decreased blood supply of the tumor and ultimately death of the means malignant cells. But this is not very successful treatment. Other is the alcohol injection to the tumor. This is because basically the necrosis of the malignant cells, and this is treatment option is also available, but this does not have any good result. So other is the chemoembolization, which I have already told you, and radiotherapy. Radiation is not and has no role in this case. As far as the liver transplantation is concerned, this is basically only for the small size tumor, but this does not have any good results. So these are the treatment options which are available, and we usually use these options. Here is you are seeing the how the chemoembolization occur. This is basically the guide wire by which the dye is injected. This is the tumor, and the blood supply is going to this tumor, and this causes the reduced blood supply by help of chemoembolization. So these are the options, treatment options available, but they have not any good promising results in case of the hepatocellular carcinoma. These are all for the hepatocellular carcinoma. This was the last topic of the liver diseases. If you have any question, you can send to me in my WhatsApp group. I will reply. Next time we will discuss a new topic in the new chapter. This is all for the GI, liver diseases and pancreatic diseases. This is the last lecture of the hepatobiliary systems. Thank you very much.